Well, I think one big problem that we face trying to tackle FGM is that the problem exists across so many countries, across so many communities. If it was in just one country, it would be much easier to tackle. But I think what we should do, what the international community should do, is view it in the same way that they viewed, for example, the campaign to eradicate smallpox. I think it should be seen in the same light. That brings countries together, brings international agencies like the UN and so on together to actually work together, tackle it across a broad front and really crack down on FGM. I think there's another problem in that it's hidden, it's not really spoken about. I think the best way to tackle that is simply to speak about it, to talk about it, for governments not to be afraid to talk about it and to tackle it. Well, I've got what I like to think is kind of a backroom role, really, here at the Royal College of Midwives, supporting the work of Janet File, who's part of a large number of groups that combat FGM, and just giving advice to Janet and to others about, what are the routes into government, what are the best ways to influence government policy. And I think Janet, the Royal College of Midwives, and the large number of organisations here in Britain have been very successful at influencing government, and the UK government has been very receptive and has made taken a lot of action against FGM. And I think that's a credit to the work of an awful lot of people. Well, I think there's a number of things we need to do to end FGM for good. I think, as I've said, I think countries need to work together. We need to bring in international organisations like the European Union, global organisations like the UN, to tackle this problem across a broad front, because it exists in so many countries. And I think also we need to talk about the education of boys in particular, simply to make FGM something that no one wants to have exist, that no one wants to see women affected by. And so I think there's countries working together, tackling the problem, challenging those countries where FGM persists, to really drive it out of those countries, but also to speak to boys and to educate boys as to something. This is something that needs to be got rid of. This needs to be something that is eradicated. And I think if we take actions like that, within a few years, we could see the eradication of FGM. And there are a lot of people living in the UK who come from countries where they practice FGM. And actually, in a sense, that gives us an opportunity, because it gives this country links back to the countries where they practice FGM. So actually, if we can speak to and educate the people that come from those countries about FGM, why it's damaging, why it should be stopped, actually, the fact that they are now embedded in the UK, those messages will flow back to the originating countries, the countries where FGM is practiced much more widely. And we should perhaps use those people almost as a resource in the fight against FGM. We can use them to spread the message back in their home country, the country from where they or their forefathers come from, and to get the conversation going there that FGM is a bad thing and should be stopped. So I think it's a real opportunity, actually, the diversity of this country, that gives us links back to those countries. And that's an opportunity we should make use of.